July 13, 1991. A quiet boarding school in Kenya becomes the stage for one of the most horrifying school massacres in history. But this wasn't an attack by outsiders. This was a night of terror carried out by the students themselves. By morning, 71 girls were brutally raped, 19 were dead, and the survivors were left with scars that would never heal. This is the story of the St. Kizito Massacre, a tragedy that shocked the world and exposed deep societal failures. St. Kizito wasn't just another rural Kenyan school. It was a ticking time bomb. Overcrowded classrooms, crumbling dormitories, and a strict underfunded administration created an environment where frustration festered. But the most dangerous divide wasn't between students and teachers, it was between the boys and the girls. At St. Kizito, boys and girls were kept separate, not just in classes, but in every aspect of school life. The girls' dormitories were guarded, while the boys slept in run-down, overcrowded halls. Teachers enforced harsh discipline, but rumors spread that girls received lighter punishments, even when breaking the same rules. Unequal discipline. Boys were beaten for minor infractions, while girls were often let off with warnings. Rumors and paranoia. Some boys believed girls were snitching on them to teachers, leading to punishments. The dance ban. The final spark came when male students were barred from a school dance, seen as the ultimate humiliation. For weeks, the boys had been plotting. Some talked openly about teaching the girls a lesson. Others just wanted revenge on the teachers. But as their anger grew, so did their boldness. They sharpened knives, gathered clubs, and waited for the right moment. Warnings were ignored. Some girls reported hearing threats, but the staff dismissed them as schoolyard gossip. No one could imagine that their own students were capable of such horror. No one was prepared for what came next. It started as a grumble, then a chant, then a war cry. Dozens of boys, some as young as 15, armed themselves with whatever they could find. Knives stolen from the kitchen, rocks pried from the courtyard, even sharpened sticks. Their rage had festered for months, and tonight it would erupt. The first stone shattered the silence, then came the second, then the third. Within minutes, the boys were scaling the walls, kicking down doors, dragging girls from their beds by their hair. Those who resisted were beaten. Those who ran were chased down.
Wengi, hata mmoja ni wa kanisa yangu. Anaitwa, tulikuwa tunamuita Karambu. Ni rafiki, ni neighbor. Hapana, Viola Karambu alikuwa akidhi, lakini mwingine tulikuwa tunamuita Karambu hapa Karambu Kidore. Tulikuwa tunamuita Jeni Karambu. Mimi siwezi nikakumbuka hiyo sasa hapo.
The brutality was unimaginable. Some girls were dragged outside and gang raped in the open field. Others were locked inside and assaulted in their own beds. The attackers used everything: fists, knives, even the broken legs of chairs. When the dormitory wall collapsed under the violence, several girls were crushed to death beneath the rubble. A few girls fought back. One used a broken bottle to slash at her attackers. Another bit a boy's arm so deeply he needed stitches. But for every act of defiance, the boys retaliated with worse violence. By dawn, the schoolyard was a graveyard. Some girls lay where they fell, their uniforms stained with blood. Others stumbled through the fields, barely clothed, their faces blank with trauma. The boys? Some slept like nothing happened. Others bragged about what they'd done. When the teachers finally arrived at dawn, they found a nightmare no one could comprehend. Bodies lay tangled in the rubble. Survivors wandered in shock, some so badly injured they couldn't speak. One girl clutched a dead classmate's hand, refusing to let go.
I just held them, trying to comfort them and to quiet them, but still the boys outside, they were forcing themselves inside. And then some girls, and to close the doors, they pushed the beds on the first door and even to the farthest door. But unfortunately, they hit the doors with very heavy stones, very big ones. And the doors broke. And from where I was, I could see now them coming in and going out, dragging girls, taking them outside.
Instead of outrage, Kenya's leaders downplayed the massacre. Some politicians suggested the girls had tempted the boys. The police delayed arrests until global media forced their hand. The world reacted with fury, but justice never came. Only 19 boys were charged. In the end, just 4 were convicted, receiving sentences as light as 5 years for rape and murder. Today, the graves are crumbling. The school is abandoned, and Kenya still whispers about the night boys became monsters. And the world looked away. The trial was a farce from day one. The accused, now clean-cut in pressed shirts, smirked as survivors took the stand. When one girl broke down describing her rape, a defense lawyer snapped, "Stop lying. These are good boys." The gallery erupted in laughter. Girls were forced to relive their rapes in graphic detail, only to be called liars and whores. Those who couldn't identify specific attackers, impossible in the dark, chaotic massacre, were told their testimony was worthless. Of the 70-plus attackers, only 19 were charged. Only 4 were convicted. The harshest sentence? 9 years for mass rape and murder. Most got 3 years. Less time than the survivors would spend in therapy. Today, the murderers walk among us. One runs a butcher shop 200 meters from a survivor's home. Another, who crushed a girl's skull with a rock, is now a church elder. Not one has ever apologized. The 71 survivors didn't just lose their innocence, they lost their futures. Many never married, deemed spoiled goods. Others had stillbirths from damaged wombs. Nearly all live in poverty, their education cut short by trauma. While survivors begged for a memorial, authorities rebuilt the school under a new name, erasing history. The current principal refused our interview, calling the massacre an unfortunate distraction from academics. But in shadows, resistance grows. Survivors now whisper their stories to daughters. Human rights lawyers secretly compile evidence for an international case. And beneath the school's new facade, visitors report things